Hi, everyone. This is the answer and methodology for the MAPS case, the training case. If you'd like to try it, please try it first before watching this video. The link to access it for free will be down below. So this whole case is about maps and how to deal with them. So the first question is, how many times did the following items appear on the map? So this will simply be a count ifs. And just highlight the entire map and select all these items for the criteria. Oh, answer is in there. So this question is how many ducks are on the water? For this one, I'm going to make a copy of the map. And then I want to do a find and replace. And I want to choose the format for that. What am I replacing? I'm replacing the duck. And I'm going to replace it with the number one. Once again, I want to just highlight so I don't mess the original map up. Okay, and we made 20 replacements. So that's our answer right there. You can see all the ducks that are on land are still fine. Okay. Next up, we want to use the indirect function and define what is at these different map locations. So here, once again, I'm going to just create a copy, move it to the end, and I'm going to rename it map. So here I can use the indirect function, and then I can combine maps to say what tab I want, and then I want to combine it with that cell. Oh, maps. I just called it map, not maps. So get rid of the reference error, down, get that answer. All right, next up is we're going to deal with Hannah, the monkey who wants bananas, no relation to Lana. And here are the verbs. First, we're doing where Hannah can only go north, south, east, west, only four directions. And for that, we're going to use our rows and columns and pretty much add them together to get what the total is. So I'll work a little bit here to the right, and we'll be using a let formula for the first time here. And here we can have a name, just so we have multiple calculations. So the best way I find to do it is like we want to create a range. So we can sort of get like the two endpoints of a rectangle. And that range is going to be an indirect, and then it will be from our location, and then the ampersand to join it to text with the colon. And then it says here that Hannah will always start in cell S9. And Excel doesn't matter what the formula is. It's, if you're going from S to R, R to S, 2 to 9, 9 to 2, it will just handle that. And so then whatever you put last is the output. So I can sort of see what the range is. In this case, it's just two cells. And so I can now take the rows of that range, and then I want to subtract one, and then I want to add the number of columns in that range. And we subtract one because we don't count our starting cell in the calculation. Just copy that, paste it back into here, and just drag it down. Then for level 4, it's pretty much the same thing, but now Hannah can move in all 8 directions. So instead of adding them together, this time you actually want the max. So I just change the plus and just wrap everything in a max. And you can see the example answer is still 1. It's right next to that. But you can see it's actually all the same locations as above, but some of the answers are different because it's shorter being able to use the diagonals. So for the last one, we're actually going to be using a data table. So Hannah has to go to the closest banana location from whatever the new starting location is, pick up the banana, and then take it to the bear while he's being cell V14. And Hannah can move in all 8 directions. So this was already partially solved for you in the training case, just to sort of show how data tables work, things like that. So here they have, it's just as example 5, but here we have an X lookup, which is going to look at that cell B16, and it's going to return the Hannah's new starting location. Then we have the distance from that new starting location compared to all the banana locations. And so you can sort of see it's that pretty much same exact formula that we just wrote before. And then we have an X lookup here, which will then look to see based on whatever the smallest item is, or the next smallest to pull that. So we can see that the answer is M20 is the closest banana from that starting location. And then if I modify this just a little bit, I believe, I can then get it to both return the location and the distance. Because now I need to calculate the distance from here to the bear. I can copy this formula, paste it in here. And so we want the distance from there. And instead of that piece, I just wanted the, what did we say? V14, I believe. Let's double check that. V, yes, we want to go to V14. Oh, but not from the starting location, from this location. And so then we have our distance to the banana, and then from the banana to the bear. So we should get a total of 14. That matches the example answer of 14. And then the way the data table works is I can now just change what I want the answer is. I want to be the total distance on here or time, but it's really the same. And I can now have answers for all 90. So it just goes through, and how the data table works is it will go through and change this to a 71, figure out that the answer's 7, puts it in. Go to 72, figure out that the answer's 8, and puts it in. And in order to create one, I just have the answer I want up here and, just pointed to it. And then in this case, I have the numbers, that things I want to cycle through. I highlight it, I hit Alt DT, and then the data table. And you can have things going across or down. Here, the inputs are in a column. So it's the column input. I just select that. Okay. So for level 6, here we're now just want to count the number of ducks that are within 2 cells of a location. So with this, we'll be using the offset function. So first I can just do an indirect of that map, similar to what we're doing before, and this location, but that only gives us one cell. So with the offset, I'm going to move it back up two and to the left two, and then I'm going to take 5 rows and 5 columns. So I sort of get this whole range here. And then within this range, I want to count the number of ducks. So all that is a count ifs. And then here I can highlight this cell. And then if I highlight it within the number bar and hit F9, it'll convert it or calculate what it is. So now I can just have that duck symbol. So then we can just copy and paste this down. For level 7, we have to do a find out where we are on the road and find out how many spaces it will take to get to the various points um, on the map. In order to do this, we will have to use circular references. These are actually allowed in Excel. They're typically not turned on. Typically, they should not be turned on. Typically, when you have them, you do not want them. But for a case like this, especially happens on the map cases, you want to go to your formulas options and then make sure this is checked to allow it. So once again, we can go to our copy. And then what we want to do is we're gonna use a data table as well. I'm going to start the example 7 and use an X lookup on that. And go over to the case. We want to look at this column and then pull these 2 items for the result. So here we have our starting location and then the area where we want to get to. So we want to change all of these, everything that is brown. So I'm going to sort of do it in 2 steps. First, I'm going to do a find and replace, similar to what we did with the ducks. So instead of a duck, I don't want it to have anything. And then I want to choose the format to be that. And then what we want to replace it with is we do want to replace it with a 1. Okay, so then we can go up into our search bar and you can do a go to special. And then this one can give us a bunch of different options. And in this case, we want to choose constants that are just numbers. So all those ones, which are all over the road, we can select just those items. And then from here, we can see we are in cell F6. We can write a formula. So it's going to be an if formula. So we're going to say if, and I want to find out what location I'm in. So I want to take up here for my column, and I want to make sure that that does not change. And then to get my row is over in column A. I want to make sure column A is locked down. So if those 2 items equals this, once again, hitting F4 to put in the absolutes. If my location equals the starting location, then I want to be 0, since we don't count that. Otherwise, it's going to be 1 plus the minimum of either G6, F7, E6, or F5. So 1 cell above, below, left, and right of it. And then if I hit Control Enter, it will put that everywhere. So you can sort of see in Z8, it made 0, and then it all moves out accordingly. So the different options, like if we weren't sure, we could do a formula called a unique, and we can go back to our case and see, okay, where are all the ending locations? Okay. And so from here, we can just sort of figure it out manually. Is probably the quickest way. So for this item, you can pretty much see they're all at the end of the roads. So it would be at this location plus one to move into the hospital, bank, or school, whatever, um, on there. So this one would be here plus one. The factory would be here plus one. The one house is over here, plus one. And you have your one house over here. And finally, I believe this is a bank. Once again, we have the one. And so then all we need to do is an X lookup of this to get what our answer is. And our answer should be 3. And double check is 3. And then I can pull the different game numbers, paste them in over here. And then I can hit Alt GT to pull up that what if table again. Once again, I have column inputs, and I want to change this to all those different games, and it just runs that quickly. Okay. So that these are the answers and the methods to get your score for the MAPS case. Thank you.